Wake and bake. Waking and Kevin Bacon. Peace, peace, peace. Just taking this moment this morning to be thankful for my existence. Be thankful for my first ability and birthright, which is breath. And then with breath, consciousness. I found myself in many conversations this week that just passed. I mean, I know we are at the second day of the week, but last week I found myself in many conversations that had peace, grand rising, peace. I found myself in conversations that were along the lines of change, but immediate change, like a freedom. Let this truck pass by. It's a big truck. Everybody's getting themselves situated for work this morning. Peace to everybody that's in the room. I was just letting the truck pass by. It was a little noisy, but transformation through consciousness. We transform every single day. We reform back into things that we might not be very happy to be. That's when we say we are coming out of our character. Somebody's taking us out of our character. I've always kind of challenged that idea. No one can take you out of your character, just like no one can make you feel a certain way. There are elements that can be provoking to being inclined to feeling some type of way, but truly, I know this sounds like the most neutral way to be, but you don't have to subscribe to more than half of the shit that's given to us daily. Me personally, how I keep away from that is I don't watch TV. The TV that I watch is important for what I'm going to discuss or if I'm going to apply it into my business. The movie is us. The life is within my circle. And that's all that truly matters. And if someone wants to peek into the circle and say, oh shit, look, they're doing that over there, then they can do that. And I say that because I was thinking this morning, I was in meditation, I'm sitting there, and a lot of times in meditation I get this clear space of euphoria, just this opening, just like almost like my spirit awakening when I wake up in the morning. And sometimes I get these deep thoughts, these insecurities sometimes that come up, and it's healthy for them to come up because that's the place where you should be dealing with them. It makes your life more difficult to deal with your insecurities in the social aspect or in a professional setting. So it's best, that's why I speak about grounding often, is taking that anxiety, that insecurity that you have, and dealing with it before it assaults your day. So like that's the character, so to speak. You shouldn't even be in a character, even in stepping into a new arena. Now, a lot of times, even in my own childhood, you go into that party or you go into that place where you've never been before, but yet you want to be a part of. You kind of put on this mask or persona that will make people attracted to you. That is the wrong way. That is the way that we have kind of been taught, the fake it till you make it way, and that doesn't exist in the realm of reality. We find ourselves that when we climb into those spaces, those masks, that costume, and there's failure, we don't have that fortitude because it's not our character. That's why it breaks. That's why you break out of character, so to speak, is because it wasn't your truth. It wasn't your truth. And it's understandable because we live in a place that, like I said, demands this. You got to be dope, or you got to have money, or you got to be shiny in order to be important. And I want you to remember that that's not where your importance lies. The only thing that you truly needed in this space was breath. Breath is what gives you the ability. A multitude of things happen when you breathe. Cognitive ability is available. When you don't breathe, it's harder to think. If you respond to something or try to run to something and you didn't take that breath, that now you're getting ready to go, it makes it difficult to do the thing. And that's just facts. Now just think about, like I said, it's a multitude. Not only is it good for cognitive ability and good for physical, like muscle ability. The reason why it's good for your muscles is because you need oxygen in your blood. Your blood goes everywhere in your body. That's why it's important to breathe in through your nose, because you have membranes that directly send the oxygen to your blood, right up in here. That's why it's so delicate to not have this muzzled all day. We're in a new season because we have changed from migrant human beings to stationary human beings that establish cities. We're in a new season. That season causes allergies. If you're not from this region, it might make you sick. I went to Amsterdam one year because my family lives in Amsterdam, and I couldn't go outside because my allergies were that bad. So there's ways to combat it, but fear and anxiety, these things don't serve you in that space. Fear is just something that you thought that isn't true. Make it reality so you can see the truth, so you can work with what you got. If you know it's cold outside, you don't immediately think, oh my God, I'm gonna freeze and die. You think, all right, well, how do I get warm? You know it's hot. How do I get cool? You know, fire is hot. How far do I need to be from that fire? Life is about proximity. Taking care of your being, making sure that you've created a temple, because we're beings of creation. Even with being migrant previously, we were still creating these places that we could be stationed just for the season. The reason why I mentioned the season previously is because we used to move and we'd be less sick because we moved with the sun. The sun kills a lot of that BS. But cold and winter, as we know, like what happens when you leave something wet and cold and warm? It turns moldy. You create disease. It's just the obvious. So, you know, our just whole thing, I guess the message that I'm pulling out this morning, that's coming out of me this morning, is transformation and preservation, realization, understanding who you are for the moment, what you need to be, because we are transformation vehicles. This flesh that we have ever more so changes. Women can be the first ones to say something about that because they change monthly. There's something that transforms within them monthly. They don't necessarily change being, but there are processes in their bodies that have to change, that have to transform in order for cleansing, right? And that's super dynamic. There's levels to that shit that we're not even going to get into right now. But just knowing that you require a certain amount of energy, a certain amount of food, a certain amount of vitality that doesn't have stress sprinkled all on it in order for you to just be a woman. It's dynamic. So I just, you know, I say these things to kind of put these thoughts out there for greater understanding of self. That's all that really matters. You know, it's cute to be in society and in community, but how valuable are you if you're not like truly doing this with passion? If you're just doing this to pump fake, if you're just doing this for notoriety, if you're like, how could you be living life for notoriety? That's insane. Not even industry. Forget about industry, because people are looking for fame left and right in industry. They want to be the best at something. When you do something consistently, you will become great at it. That's the facts. Michael Phelps, Usain Bolt, I'm sure their first swim, their first run was not the best. It was probably dope as fuck, which gave them the inspiration to do. And that's the spark that you have to find in yourself. Not to be like others or do the thing. We're all in one industry, but there's a multitude of things that are needed in order for the industry to sustain. So it's like find your niche within the entire market and be valuable in that. Of course, there's notoriety with that. When you take care of yourself and you put yourself at a certain level, people are going to notice you. It's just what it is. And it goes beyond people having to like you or anything of that nature. Excuse me. Excuse me. Ooh. It goes beyond people having to like you. Not saying that you should be disliked. It's important for people to be able to manage around you and relate and have space to be themselves around you, because that's what this really is. When you don't give people space to be themselves, or you conflict with people that are in their reality and truth, then that's when that bounce comes. The bounce comes as well when you're around those artificial people too. But that's why I'm saying this niceness, like how I've said before in other posts, this niceness that people expect you to have because you seem a certain way to them is unfortunate to keep, as far as understanding. There's a rainbow of you that has to be managed, because you don't have the right to be so boastful. You could be great at something, but you don't have the right to be so boastful. You definitely don't have the right to be angry or judgmental. I mentioned this yesterday, that people in judgment are not in their space of personal collectiveness. They're not in harmony within. The gorilla, like I said, the gorilla does not go around the jungle snapping monkey necks. It's out there being a gorilla and defining itself within its own space with its daily work, whatever that is for the requisite of a gorilla. And such is life. It's not winning awards, but when we see a gorilla, or when we, even on a picture, we can see its power and its presence because it's so in it. You know what I mean? That's like watching Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson, his whole entire life was in that space. And that's why it looks so amazing. If he just jumped on the bandwagon because he's seen somebody doing it and it was that, it don't. Nowadays you can do that. Nowadays you can kind of fake it because the pictures, propaganda allows you to do that. But then when you are, like I mentioned again yesterday, if you say you could fly and then we get on your wings and expect you to get us across because we can't fly, but we're in the same environment and we need to move together, and you can't fly, that disservices the entire movement of things. That's why it's gracious to be in self, to be truthful to self. Don't come into something with a funky attitude. Don't come into something artificially if you can't do it. If you can't do it, it's gonna show. And then now you've then wasted time of the collective. Wasted your time because you could have been disciplined if you truly desired to do that. It just wasn't your time to show it. So don't let your ambition and ego step over your discipline. There it goes. There's the goal. Don't let your ego diminish the discipline to which you've created. Don't jump the gun. Don't lift up 100 pounds knowing that you've been for a week only lifting up 50 and it took you time to get to that 50 pounds. Finesse that 50 until that 50 becomes second nature. Sure. Almost like magically lit. But finesse the 50. Mind you, I only speak like this because I've been through it. Duh. Ain't nobody perfect. You tell me you're perfect, get away from me. I don't want to be around you. Mr. Perfect, Mrs. Perfect. No. I've been through spaces of uncomfortability and not been able to express myself. I've been through places where I've overly expressed myself and lost places of comfortability. Just been taking notes and making sure that, whatever I can express becomes solidified wisdom, because you're the master of your own time and space, but that doesn't mean that time isn't moving in a collective. We have to together move time with a certain frequency, not this bunch of frequencies that's not being harmonized. That's why there's chaos and confusion, not with people's identities, but with how we're moving and how we're respecting each other. We're standing up, but then we're not acknowledging our insecurity, and that ego was created through our insecurity. And it confuses the situation. Now we're not as wholesome. We can't connect with people as we should. You gotta be vulnerable. You have to be vulnerable, but be prudent on your company. I say this again because I've been through it. I'm very sociable, but I like to be introverted. I like to walk and do my own thing and be solo. But when it's time to get into something, I can be in the middle of the situation. And I'm there to learn. I'm there to contribute. But at the same time, we live in a space that's got a lot of saturation of something else. Let's just say that. So you will learn. you will become wise. But don't stay centripetally in that madness. Don't think that you're going to be able to change the environment. The saturation of something has to diminish in order for the environment to change. So people's minds have to change. It could even be the same individuals that were once in this place of frailty or artificial behavior that might have made you feel some type of way. But growth comes in time and space. That's why people get close and move away from each other, get close and move away from each other. And if it's healthy, there's growth within those move-aways. That's reality. We don't get to see it too much because we're in the growth. But if you step back for a second, things are like this. Diamonds move like this. Diamonds are pressure and release, and pressure and release, and pressure and release. From coal to a diamond to be crystallized. That's your thoughts. You got to entertain the thought and then make it practical in your life. Practice it and then move away from it to see how it feels. Whether you know it or not, you're doing that. You go into something or you step out of it to see how you feel about it. That's sex. We engage. We're enjoying it. We have an understanding of how great it is and how it feels, but then when we disengage is where the true reflection comes. You got to step out of something in order to be in the thing entirely, in order to see the thing for what it is. But if you don't engage in the thing, you're not going to be able to have any understanding or experience. That's where fear comes from. That's where now you're just looking at the thing and assuming, oh, that's what that is. I know what this is. And that's judgment. Judgment's ego. Judgment's, it's all fear-based. And you don't have the right to do that. It's a disservice to your mind to have that sense of imagination, because it's imagination. And imagination can build a building, it could build a bridge, or it can break up a relationship, it can burn a bridge. You gotta imagine. Imagine is where your beauty comes from. Imagination is where your beauty comes from. But you don't need to have all these negative fathoms. And I say you don't need to. You will. There'll be these things like, oh, well, what if this and what if that? Bring them to the forefront of self. Confront them. Have conflict so you can resolve. If you don't do it, who's going to do it for you? Ashe. I want to say thank you to everybody that pays attention to self, that understands that this ain't for notoriety, that there's been a few versions of me that have attempted to express self, and now I'm in a space of understanding of like, yo, it's a song. And you really got to sit into your life to understand the rhythm of and the frequency of self. And then that song will start to sing, and then you can turn up the volume on that song, and it becomes beautiful. Poverty is only for the mind, for the poor mind, excuse me. Poverty is only for the poor mind. Poor of mind, in fact. You think down about a relationship, you think down about an endeavor, it'll present itself as such. Why? Because you're powerful. Because you're the master of your own time and space. So that when you think of something and you're engaged in that thing, you're going to put this physical body in that space. That energy that you thought about is going to go whoop, 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 in that space. So if I think, yo, everything's going to be gracious. I'll give you an example. I went through some things in the past like 2 years. Doesn't matter what it was, but I had to re-engage with a collective of people that are just disheartening because they assume. And they assume off of hearsay. But I stepped into that knowing it. But before I stepped into it, I said this to myself. Everything's going to be gracious. I'm the master of my own time and space. I'm the embodiment of infinite possibilities, and the day is going to be righteous. The day is going to be beautiful. What happened? People hugging, people loving. Love, 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 love. Am I amazed by that? I'm amazed as a child within it. But I'm not moved because I understood that that's what I'm carrying. If I carried, nah, fuck that, yo. When I see these motherfuckers, I'm gonna, I'm too powerful. Why would I do that? It causes too much confusion. And then you got people that want to love you paying attention to that. And that's what you have to think about. The people that are paying attention to you. It's not the people that are in front of you that are paying attention to you. Those are the people that are in front of you. People that are paying attention to you are around you. You might not even know it. Unbeknownst to you. Little did you know. You got somebody that wants to invest in your greatness, but you were in a bad space that morning. So you came to the kitchen with the bad sauce. You made the dish too salty. So go with love, go with grace. I say this to you, I say this to me. I look at this camera and I look at myself and I say this to myself because these are things that you need to say to yourself. I'll tell you this as a quick plug, because Instagram isn't forever. We have SupremeGreenCuisine.com. I'm gonna have a link to Patreon so that we can show you the herbs that I've been putting together so that you can take care of yourself. So that you can have your tea every morning, because you need to have tea at least twice a day. Herbal tea, definitely. Sweet tasting, nice tea. Oh, I want a bubblegum tea, that's cute. But you can still get like a delicious tea with a nice flavor, that's herbal. And I will show you different roots to use, and I'll show you different herbs. And if you don't have those herbs, connect with me so we can get you those herbs, because they're right accessible to you. But the Patreon is up. I just have to link it together and upload some videos so you guys have some food for thought, you know. And speaking of food for thought, please go to my YouTube and check out Food for Thought. It's a project I just started working on, and something that I feel like is going to grow into something beautiful, because the object of it is that I create cannabis-infused recipes. And I take those cannabis-infused recipes and I put some art with it, so it's the food and it's the thought. I do a little poetry. So I hope you guys like that, and I love you. I appreciate you. Thank you for taking the time out. You know, we like this morning, but it is what it is. I'm gonna go freshen up. I'm gonna have my tea. I had a wonderful meditation this morning. Remember to take your 3 deep breaths consciously. Take your time with those deep breaths. As you breathe in that beautiful light, that beautiful prana, that beautiful energy that to which is yourself, and you're just tapping right the heck back into it. Holding it in, seeing the beautiful light within bloom. You could see it getting brighter. And exhale your beauty into the space, because you are the master of your own time and space. I love you. Be the dope you want to smoke. You're the embodiment of infinite possibilities. Chiname, Ashe, Flex. And you say New York City. Have a good day.